Welcome to another inspiring story from the Bible. Today we delve deep into the life of one of the most remarkable prophets and my personal favorite prophet in the Old Testament, Elijah. His story is one of courage, miracles, and unwavering faith in God during a time of great darkness in Israel. Elijah's life was filled with powerful lessons that continue to resonate with us today. Let us walk through his journey together. Elijah emerged as a prophet during the reign of King Ahab, one of the most wicked rulers in Israel's history. King Ahab, along with his wife Queen Jezebel, led the people of Israel astray by promoting the worship of Baal, a false god of fertility. Under their rule, the nation turned away from the one true God. The people of Israel were in spiritual crisis, and it was in this dark period that Elijah's calling began. Elijah, whose name means "My God is Yahweh," was chosen by God to confront this evil. His journey begins with a divine message, a message that would change the course of Israel's history. God sent Elijah to deliver a bold message to King Ahab. Elijah declared that there would be no rain or dew in Israel until he said otherwise. This drought was not just a natural disaster, it was a direct challenge to Baal, who was believed to control the rain and harvest. Elijah's proclamation was a way to show that the God of Israel, Yahweh, was in control, not Baal. As the drought took hold, the nation suffered greatly. Crops withered, rivers dried up, and famine spread across the land. Yet even in this time of hardship, God provided for Elijah. Following God's command, Elijah retreated to the Kerith Ravine, east of the Jordan River. There, God performed a miracle. Ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning and evening, and he drank from the brook. Even in the midst of a devastating drought, God provided for his prophet. This miraculous provision is a testament to God's care for those who faithfully serve him. But Elijah's journey was far from over. When the brook eventually dried up, God led Elijah to a widow in the town of Zarephath. In Zarephath, Elijah encountered a widow gathering sticks. She and her son were on the brink of starvation, with only a handful of flour and a little oil left. Elijah asked her for a piece of bread, and despite her dire circumstances, the widow obeyed the prophet's request. Elijah promised her that her jar of flour and jug of oil would not run dry until the Lord sent rain on the land. True to Elijah's word, the flour and oil never ran out. This miracle not only provided for the widow and her son, but also demonstrated God's power and faithfulness in the midst of famine. Tragedy struck when the widow's son became ill and died. Heartbroken, she questioned why this had happened after Elijah had come to her home. Elijah, moved by compassion, took the child's body to his room, where he prayed earnestly to God. God answered Elijah's prayer, and the boy's life was restored. This miracle affirmed Elijah's role as a true prophet of God and further revealed God's power over life and death. After 3 years of drought, God sent Elijah back to confront King Ahab. Elijah challenged the 450 prophets of Baal to a showdown on Mount Carmel. He proposed that both sides build an altar and call upon their God to send fire from heaven. The God who answered with fire would be declared the true God. The prophets of Baal called upon their God from morning until evening, but no fire came. Then Elijah stepped forward. He rebuilt the altar of the Lord, placed a sacrifice on it, and drenched it with water. When he prayed to God, fire immediately fell from heaven, consuming the sacrifice, the wood, and even the water in the trench around the altar. The people of Israel fell to the ground and proclaimed, "The Lord, He is God." Elijah's victory over the prophets of Baal marked a turning point in Israel's spiritual journey. The false prophets were defeated, and God's sovereignty was reaffirmed. After the victory at Mount Carmel, Elijah prayed for rain, and God sent a heavy downpour, ending the 3-year drought. Yet despite this triumph, Elijah's journey took a dark turn. Queen Jezebel, furious at the defeat of her prophets, vowed to kill Elijah. Fearing for his life, Elijah fled into the wilderness, where he fell into deep despair. Despite all the miracles he had witnessed, Elijah felt alone and abandoned. In his despair, Elijah prayed for God to take his life, but God had other plans. He sent an angel to comfort and strengthen Elijah, providing him with food and water. God then led him to Mount Horeb, where Elijah would have a profound encounter with the divine. On Mount Horeb, God spoke to Elijah, not in the powerful wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a still small voice. Through this gentle whisper, God reassured Elijah that he was not alone. There were still 7,000 in Israel who had not bowed to Baal. God also gave Elijah a new mission, to anoint new kings over Israel and Aram, and to appoint Elisha as his successor. Elijah's encounter with God on Mount Horeb reminds us that God often speaks to us in the quiet moments, and that he is always with us, even when we feel alone. Following God's command, Elijah found Elisha, a farmer, plowing a field. He threw his cloak over Elisha's shoulders, symbolizing the passing of his prophetic mantle. Elisha left everything behind to follow Elijah and become his disciple. This act of obedience and sacrifice on Elisha's part is a powerful example of total commitment to God's calling. Elisha would go on to perform many miracles, continuing the work that Elijah had started. As Elijah's time on earth drew to a close, he and Elisha traveled together. Elijah knew that his departure was near, and Elisha refused to leave his side. As they crossed the Jordan River, Elijah asked Elisha what he could do for him before he left. Elisha boldly asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit. Suddenly, a chariot of fire appeared, and Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha watched as his mentor ascended, and he picked up Elijah's cloak, symbolizing that the prophetic mantle had now passed to him. Elijah's dramatic departure was a testament to his unique relationship with God. He was one of only 2 people in the Bible who did not experience death, the other being Enoch. If you like the video, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more biblical stories like this. See you on the next video. May God bless us all.